In a remote valley tucked away near Banff, 14-year-old Amelia Reyes knew the mountains like the back of her hand. Her father was a forest ranger, so her weekends were spent on winding trails, not in crowded shopping malls. Her best friend wasn't anyone from school. It was a chestnut rescue horse named Atlas. Atlas had a troubled past, abandoned after a logging accident. He was left skittish and unpredictable. Most people saw him as a lost cause, calling him too difficult. But Amelia saw something different. She saw a soul that was misunderstood. She was the only one who could approach him without him shying away, the only one who could soothe him during the violent crack of a thunderstorm. She would gently press her forehead against his and whisper, "You're safe. I'm here." Then the wildfire came. It started as a faint whisper of smoke on the distant horizon. By nightfall, the sky bled a terrifying orange. By morning, ash fell like a somber, gray snow. Evacuation orders ripped through the valley like the fire itself. Trailers were loaded, trucks were packed, and families scrambled to escape. Amelia's father burst through the door, his face grim. "We have to go. Now." Her heart plummeted. "The horses," she started. "Emergency teams are on their way," he said firmly, his voice leaving no room for argument. "We don't have time." But when they reached the chaotic staging area at the ranch, panic was in the air. The sound of sirens, shouting, and terrified animals was deafening. And Atlas was gone. His temporary holding pan was empty. Amelia's chest tightened into a knot of pure fear. He must have broken through the side fence. A volunteer yelled over the howling wind. He bolted toward the ridge, the direction of the fire. "No," Amelia whispered, the words stolen by the wind. Her father grabbed her shoulders, his grip tight. "You are not going after him." But she saw it in his eyes, a reflection of her own terror mixed with a deep understanding. Atlas was petrified of smoke and loud noises. If he ran toward the ridge, his panic would drive him deeper into the inferno. He wouldn't stop. 5 minutes, Amelia pleaded, her voice cracking. "Please. I know how he thinks. I know where he'll be." Her father hesitated, the seconds stretching into an eternity. He then shoved a damp cloth into her hand. 3 minutes. Stay visible. She didn't need to be told twice. She ran. Not away from the danger, but straight into its heart. The acrid air burned her throat and made her eyes water. The thick smoke turned the familiar trees into ghostly, dancing shadows. "Atlas!" She screamed, her voice hoarse. There was no answer, only the sinister crackling of burning brush and the roar of the wind. Then she heard the frantic, desperate sound of hooves striking gravel, and there he was. Atlas stood near a narrow clearing, his eyes wide with terror, his flanks heaving, a coat of ash dulling his chestnut fur. Behind him, the flames licked hungrily at the tree line. He wasn't running anymore. It was frozen, completely paralyzed by fear. Amelia forced herself to slow down, her instincts taking over. She knew rushing him would only make it worse. "Hey!" she called softly, her voice a small island of calm in the storm of chaos. "It's just me." Atlas tossed his head wildly, his entire body trembling. In the distance, another tree cracked and fell with a thunderous crash. Amelia's pulse hammered in her ears, a frantic drumbeat against the fire's roar. She took another careful step closer. "Remember the storms?" she said, her own voice shaking despite her efforts to stay calm. "You didn't run then, you stayed with me." Atlas's breathing was ragged and wild, each breath a gasp of pure panic. She reached out her hand, slowly, deliberately. For one heart-stopping second, she thought he would bolt, disappearing into the smoke for good. Instead, his trembling began to subside, just a little. But it was enough. She closed the final distance between them and pressed her forehead to his. The smoke stung her eyes, and tears streamed down her cheeks. "You're safe," she whispered. The words felt like a lie, an impossible promise in that moment, but she said them anyway, a prayer against the flames. "You're safe. I'm here." Atlas let out a long, shuddering sigh. Then He lowered his head, a sign of trust that broke through her fear. It wasn't magic. It was a bond forged in quiet moments, a trust that was now being tested by fire. She grabbed the loose rope that was still dragging from his halter and slowly, gently, turned him back toward the valley, back toward safety. Behind them, the flames climbed higher, devouring everything in their path. Ahead, the wail of sirens grew closer, step by painstaking step. They walked out of the smoke together. The wildfires scarred the valley, leaving behind a landscape of black and gray. Barns were lost, and familiar trails were burned to charcoal. But that day, no lives were lost. Atlas was moved to a temporary stable in a neighboring town. Amelia visited him every single weekend, making the long drive, even when the air still carried the faint, bitter smell of smoke. Something had changed between them. Atlas no longer flinched at every sudden noise. The scent of a distant campfire no longer sent him into a panic, and Amelia noticed a change in herself, too. She had always thought of herself as the calm one, the steady hand for a frightened horse. But in those 3 terrifying minutes in the smoke, she discovered a deeper truth. Courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about walking straight into your fear for someone you love. Months later, life began to return to the valley. New fences were built, saplings were planted, and fresh hay filled the repaired barns. Atlas came home. One evening, as the sun began to set, Amelia rode him slowly along a trail that was just beginning to heal. The charred trunks of old trees stood like silent sentinels, but between them, tiny green shoots were already pushing their way through the blackened soil. A testament to resilience, Atlas moved with a newfound confidence beneath her. There was no hesitation, no lingering fear. At the top of the ridge, the very same ridge he had once run toward, Enter Amelia stopped. She looked out at the horizon. The sky was clear now, a soft blue fading into a brilliant gold. "You walked into the fire with me," she whispered, her voice full of awe. Atlas flicked his ears back, listening, and in that quiet moment, the real truth settled over her. He hadn't walked into the fire with her. She had walked into it for him, but he had made the choice to walk out with her. Sometimes, the greatest strength isn't loud or boastful. Sometimes, it's forged in the quiet, smoke-filled moments when all hope seems lost. And sometimes, the one you believe you are rescuing is actually the one who shows you just how brave you truly are. Thanks for watching. If this story touched you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.